Hey guys, this is Sixius here. Today we'll be talking about the top 10 overland sets in PvE, with some mention of their PvP history, but primarily going to be focused on PvE. We're rating them from weakest to strongest. This does not include overland sets or other sets that don't drop from overland, such as Arena, Trial, Dungeon, or Cyrodiil/Battleground based sets. This is purely overland. For the number 10 entry, we have called the Undertaker. It is found in Northern Elsewhere, provides you with a minor lifesteal debuff whenever dealing damage to an enemy. This is very strong as it can provide you about 800 to 1k healing per second, which would benefit any type of solo build, and it had one bug in the past that led to insane healing as it refreshed the debuff and how fast you could proc it. So it has had some history, unfortunately, of some exploits. And just to mention, all overland sets, which I'm mentioning this once, drop from the following resources. Delve bosses will drop you your waist and feet. World bosses will drop your head, chest, legs, and weapons. Public dungeon bosses will do the shoulders, hands, and weapons. And the dolmens, dark anchors, harrow storms, things of that nature, the pearl events will drop you your rings and necklaces. You can also achieve those from chests as well. For the number 9 entry, we have Dragonguard Elite. This set is obtainable in Southern Elsewhere. What it does is it provides you with a critical rate bonus based on hitting an enemy from the front. This actual bonus goes almost to the same lengths that you would get from Advancing Gouda, which comes from the Hellraw Citadel trial. So the only downside is unlike Hellraw Citadel's Advancing Gouda, it does require you hit it from the front. So in content like Sunspire, it is a very viable option to use over Advancing Gouda. The only downside is you can't use Backstabber alongside it just due to this issue. But it is a nice filler set to have until some of the later entries on this list. For the number 8 spot, we have Deadwater's Guile. That is found in Murkmire, and what it does is when you land the killing blow, it gives you approximately 13 to 14 ultimate, depending on how upgraded you have the set. It is amazing for farming in Skyreach, Black Rose, or anything where you have a large amount of enemies. Its main purpose is for ultimate spamming, and until it required you to have the killing blow, this was a meta set for any ad pulls within trials due to how much ultimate generation you could get. So it may have been nerfed due to that change, but it's still very viable. For the number 7 entry, we have Winter's Respite. Winter's Respite drops from the Western Skyrim map. What it does is when you place an AoE ability, it generates a frosty circle that provides healing. It is a solid entry-level endgame healer set, as well as a good way to learn how to heal. I've seen some pug tanks use it when they were inside just random queues to provide some self or group healing. The AoE heal from it is similar to Illustrious Healing from the Restoration Staff skill line, but unfortunately just because it does provide just that, it doesn't hold up too well as you progress further into the game or try to go for harder content, but it's not a bad option to have in general. For the number 6 spot, we have Spriggan's Thorn and Spinner's Garments. This is our only double entry slot. The only difference between them is one's medium with stamina and one's light with magicka. Spinner's Garment can be found inside Malbaltor with Spinner's Garments can be found within Malbaltor with Spriggan's being found in Bankorai. Both provide a large amount of offensive penetration, seeing both strong use in PvP and being a solo PvE setup to cover your penetration needs. Solo play, as without a penetration debuff skill, you'll likely be low on penetration, which is a significant damage increase to have an abundance of. General knowledge is that it is approximately 500 penetration to 1% damage, with most overland content being capped at 12,000, with veteran content being capped at a little over 18,000. If you are not at the penetration cap, which you can find in your character sheet, these are solid options to help you get closer to that threshold. In the number 5 spot, we have a set that is very competitive for Magicka Templars as well as Magicka Nightblades in both the endgame and while you're learning how to play in the endgame. This set is War Maiden. This set can be found in Vardenfell. It provides an enormous 600 weapon and spell damage to your magic damage abilities. A good example of this would be like your Puncturing Sweep or Swallow Soul from Templar and Nightblade respectively. Along with the next entry, the number 4 spot, this set can lead to a very powerful combination which can be competitive for a large amount of your character progression. Magicka Templar uses a large amount of Magicka-based skills, same with Nightblade, so that's why it's prominently seen in those two classes. It doesn't affect Flame, Frost, or Shock damage. At the number 4 spot, we have Mother's Sorrow. This can be found in the Zone to Shan. It is a very solid set for boosting your critical rating, as a strong DPS gains a ton of damage from critical rating. The only reason this is at the number 4 spot, not further up in this list, despite the fact it's been so prominent in the meta over the years, is mainly because it loses out when compared to Advancing Okita and Zogvin, which are the current kings and queens of critical rating. It's essentially, since the hybridization, it fortunately had fallen off of grace, but it is still a very powerful set, and it can hold you out for a very long time. For the number 3 spot, we have Venomous Smite. Venomous Smite can be found within Western Skyrim, similar to one of our prior entries. The set provides you an AoE DOT, which is when you deal critical damage, it applies a AoE ring around the enemy, dealing a strong burst of damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, scaling off your weapon and spell damage. As a persistent dot, it can help you with dealing a large amount of a large pack of enemies, help you take them out. It is strong in both PvP and PvE and has seen continual use ever since its release, especially now that they are able to crit with these types of sets when they proc. It has continued to see even more use since then. For the number 2 entry, we have Way of Martial Knowledge. This can be found and farmed within Craglorn. It is one of the best sets used by support and occasionally some DPS in the endgame due to its power. This set provides an 8% increase at a 62.5% uptime for its theoretical best, leading to about a 5% DPS increase on most. This amount may seem like low to some people, but in group compositions, if your group is say at 400,000 DPS, about 50k per person, this set would add about 25k, half a whole nother DPS just by running this one set. Until newer sets come out, or one that happens to be better comes into light, this set will continue to see use in trials due to its power. The only reason this set isn't the number 1 is mainly because if it was not so niche. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there's so many strong support sets, it loses favor and doesn't see that much use outside of trials. And that's why it's not going to take the number 1 spot. But it is a solid number 2. Some honorable mentions that I will throw out there is Plague Doctor. That set has been used for ages just to provide a ton of additional health. It's probably my only entry as I'd put as an honorable mention, but it is a very solid one at that. I will actually throw in there, now that it comes to mind, with Deadlands Assassin from the Blackwood chapter and that zone. That set has been used in PvP, especially at the initial start of the burst meta with procs, but unfortunately has lost favor since they added the proc burst cap. But let's move on to number 1. At the number 1, we have Briarheart. This set can be found within Hrothgar. Not only does this set find its stats usable for almost every build, the best aspects of this set is the healing provided. The healing can be so reliable that this set was heavily used to give us a similar effect of what Pale Order was without the negatives for years. This is one of my favorite sets to use when in Maelstrom Arena or Vanish on Hollows. It is also a progression set while you work on more endgame gear. The set can be used in groups where your healer may be providing some heals, but they could use a little assistance, leading it to this set to allow them to still heal you, but only provide a good chunk of it. So you're able to still heal yourself with a large chunk of it, as the heal from this set is not once per turn, once per tick, once per second. This heal can essentially hit you as many times as you can crit per second, including AoE. So if you hit 10 enemies in a second, that's 10 ticks of the healing. So the more dots you run, the more you're hitting, the more you're dealing damage, the more this set will heal you. One thing I can give as a piece of advice when it comes to using this set is there is a little quest by Dolmen for a dagger that you can use. It comes empowered, but you can search around for the Dolmen. It's in the roughly middle east of the map, and it just goes into a little cave. You can get a quick little quest there to give you a dagger, load on 2 characters, get yourself 2 daggers, reconstruct or retrait them from there, and you'll be good. And that's all for today's list. Are there any sets that you think should have been on this list? Leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your discussions regarding this topic. If there's any other list ideas or that you'd like to share with me, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to read them as well as reply to as many of the comments as I can. If you like the video, please leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. Thank you all for your time, and I hope to continue making these videos for you and progressing this further.
I'm tired of being what you